Hello, welcome to Spotlight Series at the Silo. I'm your host, Jennifer Bartram-Schmitt, and this is Patrick Zeller. And this is where the crowd would go wild if we had a studio audience. There are a couple people out there. Patrick Zeller! Yay! Patrick is an actor of stage and screen, and I'm very happy to have you here today.
Thanks. This is awesome. I love getting to talk with people about film and theater and what's going on around here, and talking about my new hometown. So that's fun too.
New Milford, your new hometown?
Yeah. I grew up in Litchfield,
Okay.
but my wife and family, we've been in Southern California for like 13 years, and getting cooped up in a two-bedroom condo with the kids for COVID was enough for us to say, all right, let's get a backyard. And growing up, I actually grew up in Litchfield. And when we were looking for a place to settle down, we decided New Milford was kind of the sweet spot because it was close to family, but it was also still close enough to the city to get down there for work and everything. And we were lucky to find something out here.
So welcome to New Milford.
Thank you.
And this is your first time at the Silo?
This is my first time what an incredible place.
It
is.
is.
And we got a great date for it. It's gorgeous. It's breathtaking. I think my wife was up here a few weeks ago, and they were hiking around, and she told me, and I said, really? And now I see that the cooking thing's going, and I want to just round up a bunch of friends and get them all here and learn something.
They're starting the cooking again, and there's music here and all kinds of events. There was an art show. Recently, the Film Commission, we just had a screening of a film about the band Black 47.
Oh, yes.
Yep, and the bass player, Joe Burkaw, was here to do a Q&A after. It was really nice.
That's brilliant.
So there's always something going on at the Silo.
I have to keep that in mind.
And there's always something going on in your career.
I try to stay busy.
Yes.
I try to stay busy. Yeah, I'm actually going down to Florida to do a Neil Simon play called Lost in Yonkers. So right now I'm trying to wrap up contracts and deadlines and stuff and start packing so that I'm free and clear. And then when I get down there, I can just focus on the play and what we're doing. But it means I'm going to miss my favorite part of Connecticut and New Milford, which is the fall and the foliage and Halloween. My son's birthday, my anniversary. I'm missing all this cool stuff. But
that's part of being an actor, right?
It is. I haven't done a play since 2018. I did Anna Karenina at the Denver Center in Colorado, and that was so much fun. But then I was doing some TV and some other stuff, and then COVID happened, and I had done a bunch of online stuff and some readings, trying to help people out and just stay busy. But other than that, for so long, I was just in my little sound booth by myself, working away.
You do voiceover work.
I do.
Yes?
I do voiceover. I do a lot of audiobooks, which is so much fun and the best way to be able to spend my day and keep busy. I get to act every day. I didn't stumble into it until 2017.
Wow. Well, with the audiobook thing, do you do that from your home?
I do.
Oh, perfect.
So I started, back then I was in San Diego. We had just moved down from LA to San Diego for graduate school. And so I was down there for that, and by the end of it I had 2 small children. And the idea of moving back to LA with the whole family was kind of overwhelming. So I said, let's just chill. Let's just hang out here for a while and see if it works. And I still had, my reps in New York and LA, so they were still submitting me. And I said, look, we're just going to see what happens. And it worked. I was able, because everything was more and more going on tape, and I could just go up there for, producer callbacks or when I actually booked something or whatever. So it was great. And so when all of a sudden the audiobook stuff started to took off, I looked at my wife and I said, we could get a house. And now that we know I don't have to be in LA or in New York, we could move back to Connecticut. And then she's a country mouse through and through. She grew up in New Hampshire. So New Milford was kind of the sweet spot for us in order to be close enough to the city, but still be in the woods, and our kids get to grow up more similar to the way we did. And I love New Milford because it's still got It's still got a lot of diversity and access to the city, but it's beautiful and quiet and great schools.
Country, and it's good for the kids to
perfect.
grow up in this area for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a quick train ride for you when you need to go into the city.
But you can still jump in a lake,
right?
Or go get lost in the woods, and it's all the good stuff.
So you actually recently filmed a movie here,
I
here in
did.
New Milford, right?
I did.
And I have my little prop. Founders Day. Very cool movie. I love this movie, and I'm not just saying that because it was done in New Milford and because I was an extra in it. I loved it. You played a politician.
I did. I was Councilman Larry. One of my first jobs when we moved back east, Eric was putting together Intermedium.
Eric Bloomquist, who is the director of the film, and he and his brother Carson were the writers.
They're the coolest guys to work with. They wear a lot of hats, and they do it with grace and aplomb, and
a sense of humor.
Oh yeah,
definite sense of humor.
He found me for a quick thing for Intermedium, which he shot right when we had just moved back, and so that was exciting because I didn't have to drive super far because he was shooting in Connecticut, and we got along, and so
no commute.
Yeah, it was great.
Yay.
I didn't have to jump on a train at 5 a.m. or leave the house at 2 a.m. Like I usually have to do. He said, well, you're in the club now. I know who you are. So a few months later, he rang me up and he said, hey, man, don't you live in New Milford? Want to work for a few days? I said, yeah, hook me up. So then it worked out. And everyone he put together on the film was super nice and generous. And it was a good time.
It was a great time. The movie is comedy. It's political. It's slasher. Definitely tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, he's using the whole slasher sort of frame to hang everything on, but still gets to say something and do it beautifully. Stunning film, top to bottom. Sounds
really showcased New Milford beautifully. I think the direction was excellent, truly, and I love the score. Very effective score. Anyone who hasn't seen it. It's streaming on many services now, Amazon, Tubi, YouTube, but I highly recommend you get the Blu-ray because this has a lot of extras on it, which is really cool stuff.
That's fun.
There's a beautiful photo gallery of all these cool behind-the-scenes shots and commentary tracks, and it's a really cool DVD. The movie is in the proper ratio in which it was filmed, thank God, not cropped for your television. So you can get that on Amazon or wherever. See this guy, Councilman Larry.
Yeah, one of the things that was really cool about it was he used so many people from the town that when I was just hanging on set in between takes, I got to talk with a lot of people who had been doing this and working on films in the area for a long time, or had just been in the town for a long time, and were just there for the day or whatever. And I was chatting up one of the council members and was asking him about, I don't know, sidewalks and Greenway and when's the train going to open up and like all that kind of stuff.
It's all for your method acting, so I can be like a real councilman.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet. Everyone was great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think we all left with a big crush on Cody. Cody crush. He was fantastic. He was the guy. He did a lot of different things on the film, but he was the one in charge of all the background extras, actors, and he was awesome.
That's excellent.
Yeah, Founders Day. So I would be interested in knowing how you got into acting. In the first place, you just mentioned earlier that you started a little bit late in life.
Well, I started doing like dance recitals and that kind of thing when I was a kid in Litchfield.
This was your babysitter was a dance
teacher?
teacher?
Yeah, my babysitter started a whole dance academy, Kimberly Kosher's Dance Academy. She's still running it out of Litchfield. So she got me on the stage and performing, and it was a lot of fun.
So at the time, I'm curious because when I was taking dance lessons as a kid, there weren't a lot of boys in class.
No.
Is that why she was trying to rope you in? We
I
need
think
more guys on stage.
Well, I think she saw a kid who had way too much energy they knew what to do with. And my mom just loved it. She loved having me do it.
Yeah.
But after, doing it, going through one whole cycle of it and through the recital, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. There aren't any other guys. I would rather go play soccer, or maybe. Then my parents were like, well, what if we pay you? And so they kicked me
you're
a
going
couple.
to pay the kid
They
to
bribed
dance.
me. So they bribed me for it. I was like, okay, well, that's not so bad. So I did a few more years. But then the older I got, then, other things were more important to me.
Exactly.
And
That's
so that was
kind of
fun.
how. I'd just like to say, if there are any parents out there who are considering putting their kids into dance class, do it. I mean, yes, they get the skill of dancing and it's exercise, but it's just so much more.
You learn a lot. I mean, you're learning the coordination of putting a show together and going through the whole cycle from the beginning when the teacher choreographer is putting everything together and working as a team.
Working as a team, yes, for sure.
It's huge.
And posture, poise, confidence.
Sure.
It's all,
Yeah, you get skills that you're able to kind of carry on with you for a while, which is
definitely
and the confidence.
And confidence,
being in front of people.
My teacher, when I was taking class, big shout out to the dance teachers, to Kimberly and to Jill Hancock and to my teacher, Jackie Hansen. We love you ladies, seriously. Her thing was, don't look at your feet. Mm-hmm. Don't look at the feet of the person next to you. Mm-hmm. Don't be scanning the crowd trying to find dad. Gaze to the balcony. So we would do our dress rehearsals and she would stand, Danbury High School is where we had our recitals.
Oh, that's good.
Big auditorium. And she'd stand down there and she'd yell, gaze to the balcony, gaze to the balcony. And a couple years ago, I was speaking at a memorial service. And I walked out at the podium at the church. Guess what I heard in my head? Gaze to the balcony. It was like instantaneous 100 years later.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, it stays with you, and it's just such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. But I stopped because then, peer pressure and wanting to be with your friends and wanting to do sports and all that. I didn't gravitate towards the arts anymore. But then, just a couple of years later, I got to high school. My dad had a business in town, and so he was bringing me as a day student to Canterbury, and my English teacher, Maddie Dreek, she was having us read Shakespeare, and she kind of picked it out a mile away. I enjoyed the heck out of it. You were the guy. As soon as I was reading it, I was, happier than a clam. And then she was like, you got to do the play. I was like, I don't want to. I used to do the dance thing, and I don't want to do that. It's not for me. But finally, she worked on me hard enough that I was like, I'll do crew. I'll do crew for you.
Was the play Shakespeare?
No, it was a musical. It was The Music Man.
Okay.
And Canterbury's a big hockey school, so she would cast all of the hockey players, the varsity hockey players, and then the whole school would want to come out and support and do the whole thing. So she's a genius. And I went out and I did the crew stuff, and it was such a gateway drug. Because as soon as I was there, and I did very little, I moved to checkerboard in one scene or whatever, but I got to play every night and flirt with girls and watch them put together this show. Yeah. And I remember watching the guy, this hockey player that was having the time of his life, singing and dancing and doing the show, and I was just, that's it. That's what I want to do. So after that, I started auditioning for everything. But unlike when I was a kid, doing stuff on stage with the school musicals or the dance recital stuff, then I was post, puberty or whatever, and all of a sudden, like, everyone's opinion matters, and I was terrified. It was just stage fright, top to bottom, and I had this speech that I had to do. We were doing The Man Who Came to Dinner. So it was my sophomore year in high school, and I was playing this British playboy named Beverly Carlton, and I could do a British accent, so she gave me the role. And I went through it like 100 miles an hour, and it was probably terrible, but the audience laughed. And once the audience laughed, I was done. Because that kind of like validation just cooks you. Like you're So I did it again and again and again and again. Then I started going after the community theater stuff. And Torrington, because I was up in Litchfield, I started doing Rainbow Summer Theater with Sharon Hauk. She works with the Warner quite a bit. She's still up there. She's still doing stuff. She cast me in a musical called Runaways, Elizabeth Swato's Runaways. And there were all these people who I'd never met before who had been doing theater at the Warner since they were like 5 or 6 years old. And these kids were just like fantastic singers and dancers and actors, and they've been doing this forever. And I show up and I didn't know anything, but it was fun. And because it was community theater, there were also a lot of people in their 20s and 30s, and they were so talented, and the music was so amazing. And we'd spend every night, around a campfire somewhere, or swimming at a pond, or rope swing at Warmog, or whatever.
Just a real sense of community.
Oh, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what gets you really hooked. You know what I mean? And then
I
you're
found
just
my
trying
people.
you're trying to get on stage or in front of a camera and working with a group of people trying to put something together. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Like just to tell a story with a group of people. You're chasing that sense of community or togetherness. It's a high, and you're chasing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then you pivot and you start trying to do it for a living, and it just gets complicated. But that's where it starts. You know what I mean? Is that chasing that high and that sense of group togetherness and telling the story is just such a special thing. So when kids are able to do it in high school and younger, I think it not only teaches them the confidence and the poise and the ability to work together, but it also sets them up for knowing how to be patient with people and knowing how to work toward a common goal that you don't necessarily get in sports, because
Sports is competitive. It's different.
It's different. You're still working as a team. You're still going after a common goal, but there's not as much empathy or patience or learning about another person in the process. It's
and also
different.
the creativity of it. It's a different kind of
And
talent.
there's the creativity.
It's more,
Yeah, when you're building something like a story with a narrative together, I think one of the reasons I get emotional about it is because I've got kids now, and they're doing it for the first time.
Oh. Now, is that something that they came to you and said, I would like to do this like you, or?
Yeah. Mostly because we said they had to do something, because we didn't want them sitting around on their iPads all day, you know. And I'm happy to support anything they want to do, if it's soccer or tennis or theater or chorus or an instrument. I'm happy to support them on whatever. But they started working down in New Milford at TheaterWorks.
Nice.
What a fantastic program. They think they do like 2 or 3 musicals a year, and some straight play things they do as well. And they got sucked in the same way I did. You know? It's just you put a bunch of creative and imaginative people together and put them under some stress, and you bond and
magic happens.
Grow. It's magic. It's great.
That's really cool that they're kind of following in your footsteps. And
yeah, they however see the struggle of trying to do it as a living understand the difference. I think my daughter wants to be a lawyer. She's pretty set. She doesn't want to go through the same stuff we put ourselves through. My son, though, that's tough. He might end up doing this. I don't know. We'll see. Because he's still got that wanting. He's a clown, top to bottom, and he wants to just make everybody laugh. And I think the first time he got his first laugh, that's when all of a sudden he clicked for him. And he was just like, oh.
That story sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he might be done. We'll see. We'll push the stem and see what happens.
So I do want to 2 more things I want to talk about. One is the series that you did. But first, I just want to, just being a little bit of a General Hospital fan, it's really cool that you got to live in Port Charles for a while.
Yes.
I was really into General Hospital as a kid. In the
yeah.
70s, my mom watched the soap operas, and we got addicted. And when I say we, I mean the whole family. My dad would rush home from work during
No
the
way.
exciting moments and say, "What did I miss? What did I miss?" You know.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So, first of all, when you were filming, where was Port Charles?
So we were in LA, and it was one of the first jobs, I think it was the second job I booked after lockdown. So everyone was figuring it out. And it's one thing when you're on a film set and there's, in some ways you have a little bit more luxury with time, and you have a smaller crew. It can be a smaller animal.
Production
Yeah.
ordeal, yeah.
But on a daytime set, it is happening so fast, and you got one take, and you knock it out, and you're moving on. And I'd say one of the things that was nice is everyone was back for the first time too. Like all the series regulars, they were
Everybody'd been
thrilled to be
hiding for
back
so
working
long.
again, thrilled to see everybody, even if it was behind a mask most of the time. You had to, go up. I had to go because I'm driving from San Diego at the time. I would go up one day for, a swab to make sure everything's fine, then go back where I'm, potted up with my family and my in-laws, and then go up and shoot. And I had done a lot of soaps in New York when I was still living in New York. They were still shooting 4 of them at the time, and then I had done a couple in LA. But this was the first time I had a recurring character. So I had an opportunity to really meet and chat with people and develop a relationship, and they were all so good. And I think because we were all coming out of this fog of what are we doing? Where is the world going? What's happening with our industry? Can we even do this anymore? Right. There was a real collective sense of, all right, how do we do this? How do we make this work? And how do we respect everybody and figure out how to make sure no one gets sick? Mm-hmm. It was a really special time.
Yeah. So when you watch a soap opera, a scene can go on for a whole week.
Sure.
How is it filmed? Do you do all your scenes on one long day or in a week? Because it's such a quick catch-up. 5 days a week this thing is on.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it has to do with how it's written. The writers on soaps are some of the best in the business because they have to figure out a way to keep a story compelling but move the action 2 inches at a time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can be frustrating for an audience or for a performer. But the people who are good at it, they make it work. Yeah. They really make it work. So what happens is they'll usually have a set of front burner stories and then sort of back burner stories. And so as a contract or full-time series regular, they will go through periods where they'll work tons. They'll work 5-6 hours, 8 hours a day for the whole week, for a couple weeks, and then things will ebb and flow. And someone else, they might go in for a couple hours once or twice that month, and then they'll bring you back. It's as they need you. And
okay, so you kind of wait around to hear a lot of waiting.
Yeah, and you'll get your pages maybe a week ahead of time, and then you'll get updates. And really the trick is just pay attention, be prepared, because when you show up, the train is already gone. So you're jumping onto a moving train, and you're just hoping you don't fall off and slow anyone down. It's really the object of the game, I'd say.
And your character is?
Oh, Joey Novak.
Joey.
Oh, he was so great. He was this, wannabe gangster. Joey Novak, his uncle was a gangster. And at the time, Sonny was having some amnesia, and he was out in Pennsylvania somewhere. So there was this power vacuum in Port Charles,
And Joey wanted to fill it.
Joey wanted to fill it. And I remember doing the tape, and I knew it was General Hospital, but my background, I kind of try to perform what's on the page. And I saw a very big, kind of bombastic character. And I went for it, and they liked it, and they called me in. I said, okay. And so I come in and I see the pages, and I'm watching the other actors work and scenes before mine, and I'm watching tapes come down the path on TV. I'm watching the show and trying to keep up.
Right.
And I'm watching this beautiful, subtle, amazing acting work, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, they are going to can this guy."
And you come in, blah!
Tomorrow. I am so done. There's no, and they kept bringing me back, and I would do it, and I'm like screaming at the rafters, and I'd look at the director, and because she's got the writers produced all the big people on her ear.
Right.
I said, "This is what you want. You sure? This is it." They said they love it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Great.
Okay, so it was just like a real fun, just go for it role, and they didn't kill him. They didn't kill
Joey
him.
is not. You know what though?
They beat the hell out of him. But the last scene was like in the hospital, and he just got to wear
Hospital.
all the stuff. It was great, but they didn't kill him.
So you
never
might
know.
be back.
Never know.
But seriously, in soap operas, even if they kill you, they bring you back sometimes. I've seen
Indeed,
that.
and hopefully he still looks like me, right? They don't bring the character.
Oh yeah,
back.
no,
It
it's got to
like
be
me.
you.
Exactly,
It's got to be him. Otherwise,
exactly.
yeah, no.
So that was Joey. A lot of fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
So you have a series that you've been working on. Tell us a little bit about that.
A buddy of mine from graduate school, Jake, we put together a web series called Packed. It was about a bunch of stay-at-home dads and what they kind of had to go through to get through their day. With the idea of writing a pilot and then pitching the pilot out and going from there. I have a shingle called Storyation Studios where we create a lot of content. We write a lot of stuff, and there's always some iron in the fire or whatever. And Jake Milgard and we wrote this like huge, sprawling, the whole season of maybe 11 episodes. And then as we're looking at it, I ran it by some friends, and they were like, "This is a web series? Dude, these are 20-minute episodes. You're going to shoot that yourself?" And we're like, "Yeah, you're right." So when we hired a couple producers to help us put it together and produce it as a web series, they said, "This is great. Everything you have is fun. This is great. So why don't you take your favorite moments of the whole thing and see if there's an arc there and just get your characters out, and we'll do that. And then you have a sort of proof of concept, and you can go pitch your pilot from there." So that's what we did, and did well in a few festivals, and the pilot's ready to go if anyone else wants to chat about it. It's available on all the usual suspects. Tubi, Amazon, YouTube. We had a distribution deal come out of a festival in New York. That was great. Someone wanted it. Someone wanted to make some money with it. But we're learning, man. Not all things are created equal, and no matter how much fine print you read, you never really get to all of it, because if you're working on a 50-50 royalty split with anyone, they still have their whole bit, and they're going to release it on a bunch of platforms that aren't going to necessarily share with you. And they might release it on a platform that you're not getting compensated at all. They're not even getting compensated. You're like, whoa, this was not part of the deal. And then, things change, and all of a sudden this producer's shingle folds, or things happen. It's a learning curve.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, producing is hard.
A whole different thing.
There's a lot to know, and you don't know what you don't know until you
Until you
do
find
it,
out.
and then you get stung, and then for the next time, and that's sort of what it's all about. Yeah. But we've always got something we're writing or working on and playing with. Yeah.
All right. So where can people find you? What's your website?
Right now, patrickzeller.com. But I've also
Easy
got.
to remember.
Yeah. My Instagram handle is Patrick Zeller AF. I do a lot of audiobooks and romance, so it's a little cheeky because that goes over well in that community.
Fun.
And Facebook and X and all that. I'm around.
He's around. Luckily, he's around in New Milford.
I am.
Local guy.
I am.
Hopefully, you'll be in something local again soon.
Oh, I'd love to. Whenever I find out about something, the first person I call is my agent to say, hey, if you see a breakdown come out for this, let me know because I can be a local hire and all that. But usually I will kind of determine on my own, like, okay, am I right for this, or this? Do I already know anyone in common with the director or one of the producers or who's casting it? And try to figure out some attachment or connection to the project. And then it's a little easier to not waste anyone's time because, yes, the guy is my age and, maybe my vibe or whatever, but they're looking for a guy who's, can sing a tenor really well and he's an amazing percussionist or, he's, different ethnic background or whatever. And so that way I save everybody time by just trying to do my diligence and find out about the project. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
It was
This
a great
is fun.
interview. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.